Okay, welcome to this evening's meeting. We're going to have our invocation by Dr. Luke S. Hall, Senior Pastor of New Vision Christian Church in Forest Park, be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, please stand with me.
Let us pray. Father God, we thank you for this day, for your grace and mercy. We dare not begin anything without acknowledging you as the head of all we are and all we hope to be. We thank you, Lord God, for these great leaders that you have to lead us here in Clayton County. Your word reminds us, Father, that the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. And we pray that you will continue to order their steps. Bless their territory, Father, as they oversee yours. Bless their homes and their families as they oversee your people. And Father God, as we move forward in Clayton County, we are excited about the things that are on the way. Let us always be reminded that though you've called us, Lord God, to be in charge, you will always be in control. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. Welcome to the May 21st Clayton County Board of Commissioners regular meeting. Our first order of business is adoption of the agenda. Does any members of the board want to offer any amendments?
Yes, Madam Clerk, I would like to remove item number 8, which is a request to move and reclassify commercial code enforcement officer positions. Is there a second? They're not quite ready to move forward.
Second.
Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Any others?
Yes. We're trying to find it. 2019-58. I would like to take separate.
Which is, what's that deal with? I don't see
Development Authority.
You say 98?
2019 number 98.
58.
2019-58.
Okay. All right. Is there a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Something else. That's it. I can't find. 60 is. Okay.
Madam Clerk, that's all the amendments.
So can we have a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
The board will now hear a proclamation. Clayton County Board of Commissioners recognize Cheryl Goff and the Pen Pal Project. This is presented by Commissioner Gregory.
While everybody's coming, I'll tell you, this year I had the opportunity to participate in this Pen Pal project. Ms. Goff was the media specialist at Kendrick Middle School. And throughout the year, we had a pen pal that we were, a middle school, of course, that we would correspond with. They didn't know who we were, but we knew their name, but we didn't know them. So today was our reveal party of sorts, where we got to meet our pen pals. So it's just really a great program, because in exchanging these letters, the kids actually write letters. Thank you. The kids actually write letters, and it just helps build up their writing skills. It gives them a chance to kind of vent, because a lot of them have a lot of things on their mind, and they vent real openly because, you know, we're not going to judge them. They're not a teacher who's going to whatever. It's not their parents. So they got a chance to really express themselves, and hopefully next year some of you will become a pen pal in this project. So we wanted to keep going. So thank you, Ms. Goff.
Clayton County Board of Commissioners recognizes Cheryl Goff and the Pen Pal Project. Whereas the Pen Pal Project is just one of the literacy programs initiated by Alpha Iota, a local chapter of the International Honor Society of Key Women Educators, Delta Kappa Gamma. In the project's third year, it was expanded to include 2 sixth-grade language arts classes and members of the community who served as adult pen pals. And whereas the program was initiated to encourage students to improve their writing skills and provide an authentic audience for writing, which has proven successful, their writing scores have also improved since the previous school year. In addition, students had an objective friend to share their concerns. They experienced empathy for another person and their situations. And whereas Pen Pal participants are employees of the Police Department, the Georgia Archives, Parks and Recreation, the Public Library, leadership at Clayton County Public Schools, school board members, elected officials, retired educators, clergy, business owners, and members of Alpha Iota. And whereas at its best, having a pen pal is like seeing into another world in the same way that books show us other worlds, but differ from books in the sense that the characters in the book will talk to you, answer questions, and interact. Children are excited to receive letters from their pen pals. They also highly anticipate meeting them. It's important for the youth of Clayton County to be exposed to program service opportunities designed to create positive learning experiences that will give rise to promising contributing members of our community. And whereas students and their anonymous pen pals exchange letters, drawings, and occasionally a gift about once a month throughout the school year. At the Pen Pal Reveal Party on May 21st, students and their friends met for the first time and identities were revealed. Now, therefore, I, Sona Singleton Gregory, Commissioner, on behalf of the Clayton County Board of Commissioners, do hereby honor Cheryl Goff and the Pen Pal Project. We encourage all citizens to join in this recognition. We are proud of this project and extend best wishes for its future. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Clayton County, Georgia, to be affixed this 21st day of May in the year 2019.
And this is also Miss Anita Thomason, a retired educator in Clayton County Public Schools. She was actually one of my daughter's teachers at Adamson Middle School. And a lot of the retired teachers are actually pen pals. So again, I'm saying it again, I know I'm repeating myself, but we want you all to help us with this project next year. You see where it increased their writing skills and so forth. So please, sign on to become a pen pal with the young people. Thank you all.
Next, we will have a presentation, Metro Study Housing Update by Eugene James.
Okay, let's see if we can get this thing up and running. Good afternoon, Mr.
Good
James.
evening.
Yeah,
Yes,
come
they
around.
would like for me to stand at the podium.
Yes, and address the presentation to the board.
I'm just killing time while we get the presentation up and running here. So, well, listen, thank you very much for allowing me to come out, commissioners, and Mr. CEO, Mr. COO, thank you very much, and to our audience. My name is Eugene James. I'm a real estate economist, if you will. And so all I do is analyze real estate property values all over the metro Atlanta area. So I'm going to do a short presentation for you today about the Clayton County market. There's a lot of great things that are taking place. First and foremost, let me say this real quick, and I'm timing myself. I promise I'll be 5 to 7 minutes and I'm done. The overall job market throughout metro Atlanta
Mr.
is doing real
James.
well.
I'm so sorry. You know, we're kind of old school here.
Okay, all
And I'm
right.
so glad you're here, but they don't let you talk to the audience. I don't know where that come from. I've only been on the board 2 years. I'm
Well,
sorry.
Well, I'm not used to having my back to
Me
an audience.
either. It's okay.
But my primary audience
If you
is
just
here.
address the board and the screen. that'd
Well,
be
thank you
fine.
very much for
Thank
Thank you
clarifying
so
that
much.
very much.
Thank you.
So here's the deal. The job market's doing great, so the housing market is exploding. It's going to continue to do well. So I wanted to talk about the resale market versus the new construction, new home market. And so here's a quick glimpse of what's going on in terms of how many houses are for sale. It's converted to a month's supply number. That's how you can tell whether the market's healthy or it's not healthy. Right now throughout Metro Atlanta, it's a 2.6 month supply. That's low. That's considered a shortage of houses for sale. The old norm was 6 months. I'm saying there's going to be a new norm. It's going to be 4 months going forward. But at 2.6 months, there's an undersupply. That's Atlanta. That's Metro Atlanta. But take a look at Clayton County. Clayton's at a 1.9 month supply. So long story short, there's a major, massive shortage of houses for sale here in Clayton County. Simple economic supply and demand says if there's a shortage of something, expect more price. So prices are going to continue to go up. So that's a quick look at the resale market. Here's a quick look at the Metro Atlanta new construction market. It's showing new home construction starts. That's the red line. Closings are represented by the black line. So the thing that grabs us most is why would starts be going down? We know demand for housing is very, very high. It's higher than the supply of homes. Long story short, there's a couple things going on. We're running very low on finished buildable lots for builders. That's number one. And number two, we got hit with really, really bad weather. I hate to blame things on weather, but in 2018, we had more rain in 2018 almost in any time in history. There's one other year that had more rain than last year. It was 1948. So rain really slowed down things tremendously. But now the weather's clearing up. We expect to see things pick up quite a bit. Here's Clayton County's construction starts and closings over the past, well, going back to 2001. So they were going up at a nice clip, but then just like Metro Atlanta, we started seeing a little bit of a slowdown. But the real big takeaway for me is where are we today in Clayton versus where we were in 2001, 2002, 2003. I think there's an opportunity to get back to doing close to that kind of volume now that the market is so much more robust today than years ago. I wanted to isolate townhomes versus all kinds of new construction houses, detached. This is just townhome. Look at townhome activity, how that's exploded though. Starts were up 53%, your closings are up 78%. We expect to see a lot more townhome activity taking place in Clayton County. So I would say look for developers and builders coming into Clayton requesting more this high density type product to be built here in Clayton County. Here's inventory for just Clayton County. I'm converting it to a month supply figure. There's a 7.1 month supply for new home type activity. What does that mean? Well, consider 8 months was normal, so you're below normal levels for new construction type activity. The gray represents under construction homes. The red represents finished houses that have not been moved into. The yellow is model homes. So but once again, the takeaway for me is, okay, it's a healthy market. There's no oversupply of houses out here on the new home side. So basically, there's really a shortage on the resale side. There's a shortage on the new home side as well. Let's take a quick look at our vacant developed lots. We track how many finished lots are on the ground all over Metro Atlanta. And so the takeaway for me is I look at your house or your lot inventories today, and then I go back and see, well, gee whiz, this really been crashing down. It's as low as where it was back in 2004. So remember I mentioned about how the construction starts are coming down. That's one of the reasons why, is because the lot supplies are now so low. I mean, I'm expecting to see developers come before you real soon here and say, hey, it's time for us to start moving dirt again. We want to buy this 50-acre tract of land, this 100-acre of land, and convert it to community. So look for that type of activity to come close to you as well. I'll wrap up by just showing you what prices have been doing. The red bars there represent new construction prices, and the blue represents resale prices. And the takeaway is this: you're now at an all-time record high for median new home prices, coming in at $211,000 for new. and that's up 10% price-wise, just 1 year's time frame. Resale was up by a whopping 25% in terms of price. And it's all because of demand and supply. And once again, like I mentioned, supply is so low, I think you should expect to continue to see upward pressure being placed on prices for all types of real estate. I'm gonna wrap up by showing you a couple of little bullet points here. I've already mentioned most of this. Very low lot levels, but they're going to continue to fall even lower. You're going to, I think you're going to start seeing home prices go up more and more because our inventory levels are so low. And I'll wrap up by saying this: so you have an opportunity here, particularly capturing the first-time home buyer type market, because home prices are so high everywhere. All of a sudden, a lot more people than ever before have their eyes looking at Clayton County and for opportunity to do business here. So thank you very much for your time, and I'll hopefully have a couple of seconds or moments to answer any questions you may have.
I have a couple
Yes, ma'am.
questions, and I'm just gonna go ahead and hit the first one head on. First of all, I want to say thank you for bringing the information,
Indeed.
because I am a person that, whether we decide to make a different decision on anything, I like to deal with what are the facts in the market. And we've had people come before our board. I don't know where they get the numbers from, but I just want to make sure that we're getting the numbers from a reliable source. And I need people to understand real quick. Tell them who Metro Study is and what do you all do, real quick.
Yeah, thank you. We're real estate economists. Our information is firsthand. In other words, I send people out to visit every new home subdivision every quarter. So we're counting how many lots are on the ground, how many houses are being built, how many have just built and been sold. So this is considered proprietary information that our clients typically pay for, but I wanted to do this to get you up to speed in terms of what we're seeing.
The other quick question I have is, because I heard the last part, Clayton County has been inundated over years with new home starts. So the challenge for us is having that balance between new homes versus those that are a little bit upwards. We're not saying we got to get to Atlanta where everything's 500,000,
Yeah.
but we do need to balance out. And I think that's the conversation we can continue to have. And the other thing I wanted to mention to you that I'd like to have further discussion on is to advise us on how can we assure that we get a certain value of home here. One of the things I'm hearing back is a lot of people want to relax the brick front, or the brick, four-sided brick. But at the end of the day, four-sided brick is selling and it can sell. So I don't know if you're willing to speak to that briefly, or if you can.
Well, Madam Commissioner, I think there's product types for all types of people. I'll speak specifically about Clayton County. I know for a fact that it's a very large first-time home buyer market, but I also know that you have much higher price point homes, and there's demand growing for those higher price point products as well. So you just have to be careful not to do like some municipalities where they make it so stringent and so costly that all of a sudden no one can afford to buy that type of home. So.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I'd just like for us to continue to get good information so that we can base our decisions on. And I'd like to have you come back and even advise us on our land use, if we could. Because I think, again, if we get the right information from the source, then we can make whatever decision we want to make. But let's all have the information. Because we got to find the pockets. Density is good,
Sure.
but density is not good everywhere. So we got to find
Indeed.
where is that going to be most beneficial to the population of people here.
I agree. Well, I'll be happy to do that.
question.
Hold on a second. Commissioner?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Just to piggyback on what Commissioner Warner said, that's always been one of my concerns. Yeah, we're a first-time buyer home mecca, but we do need homes where when, your two people, as they gather more salary or have 3 or 4 kids and they've outgrown that house, we do need more of that. And I believe that we can do it without outpricing everybody who wants to live here. But I think some of the things we've suffered over the years is just that. 2 teachers coming out of college or a few years might be able to buy a home, but once they get married and start having a couple of kids, and now they're principal and they're going to move to another county.
That's a good point.
Commissioner Davis?
Do you have any numbers based on the resales of our inventory, our low-income, affordable, and market-rate housing?
Off the top of my head, I don't, Commissioner. I'd be happy to find that information out and provide it to you.
Let me recommend this, if you can just make your information available to the commissioner, should we choose to contact you for further information, that would be appreciated.
Very good.
Mr. Chair, I want to take it a step further. I think we need to figure out a way to have a work session. That was the point. We have to all be on the
housing.
same page. Yes, sir. That drives, how many jobs are created for every house that's built?
It's something like 5 or 6 or 7 to 1. There's a spiral up effect. Every house you build, it turns into not only a real estate agent, but insurance, the banks that are lending money to those folks for, there's stats that show I think it's 5 or 7 new jobs for every one house being built.
Okay, well, that's something that we'll definitely
question,
discuss
Mr.
down the
Chair.
road. Commissioner
How
Gregory.
is it looking as far as when you talk about housing for seniors? I'm talking about, active seniors, retirees
ma'am.
who've probably
Yeah.
got more money they ever had.
Well,
That's the other transition area.
Metro Atlanta is we're aging in place, and it's a known fact in the real estate community, there's not enough houses being built that's suitable for those active adult people. Let's call them 55 plus, if you will. It's a growing market. There's a lot of potential opportunity for everyone that kind of focuses in on that.
Because we
type of
tend to get
product.
pushback from that. I'm sorry, I just wanted to piggyback on what you were saying. I
Yeah,
apologize.
that's okay. And I'll say, would like the information, I think if you're putting together information for us, as far as another thing Commissioner Warner mentioned was the quality of houses, the materials and so forth. Even, I don't know, just any recommendations that you might have, information, even things like in the past, we've seen wood fences put up around subdivisions, and there, 2 years later, they're falling down and everything else. And I've seen in other areas where it's nice to get some of these nice full trees to make a border, and it's
Sure.
beautiful. So things like that.
Yeah, I agree. There's all kinds of things you can do to beautify communities. Whatnot.
And then the final thing, because this is important, I'm
Yes.
sorry,
Yes, ma'am.
is even to piggyback on what you stated as well, Commissioner, to help us to understand what materials affect the price, the value of a home. Because as commissioners, we can't dictate the starting cost, but I think that if we become more educated of what goes into certain values of homes and we know the trends in the market, then we're able to make better decisions. And that is why I make the recommendation that we take the time for those that want to attend and have a work session, because I want to know more. I want to educate myself as much as I can.
I'll be happy to help in that area as well.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you
again,
very
sir.
much. I
Thank you for
appreciate it.
coming.
The board will now hear public comments. Citizens will be given 3 minutes maximum time limit to speak before the Board of Commissioners. Please state your name and county of residency for the record. Speak clearly into the microphone, and speakers should be courteous, respectful, and not make any disparagatory remarks or use abusive language when addressing the board.
Yeah, before I call the first, Mayor Ron Dotson, First Lady, and City Manager Chris Light, appreciate y'all being here. Also see Councilwoman Stamp Jones from Riverdale. Appreciate y'all being here. Judith Cotton. Judith Cotton. Judith Bennett. Those were 2 leftovers from last meeting. Herschel Trawick.
Herschel Trawick, 599 Inman Road, Hampton, Georgia. Sherman Turner, fellow commissioners. I woke up this morning, I had nothing for tonight until I got out on the road. And then I reminded myself I had 2 things for tonight. The first one concerns filming, and it's primarily Henry County, but it impacts Clayton County. There's only basically 2 ways out of South Clayton County. That's either lower Woolsey Road, upper Woolsey Road, or Panhandle. This morning I was on upper Woolsey Road. I got 100 yards from the Clayton-Henry County line, and guess what? There was a Henry County police cruiser had the road blocked, 100 yards within Clayton County. I had to turn around and everybody else and go back either to Inman Road or to Panhandle Road to come out. Now, he could have blocked the road at the Clayton-Henry County line, and we would have been able to use Hampton Road to cross over to Panhandle, but that didn't happen. I think it's a crying shame when we have taxpaying citizens that has to forego their convenience for the benefit of a filming company. And this happens quite frequently down there, especially around the racetrack. This is primarily a Henry County problem, but it impacts Clayton County as well. My other thing is strictly a Clayton County issue. I was coming back this afternoon, and this has happened to me several times, and I know it's happened to many others. If you're familiar with Lovejoy Road, where it intersects with Panhandle Road, everybody is either going or coming from Walmart. And if you're trying to make a left-hand turn off of Lovejoy Road onto Panhandle, good luck. The traffic backs up all the way to Lovejoy Middle School. I was 14 minutes this afternoon trying to make a turn, and there's people gonna get killed there. I saw a couple of instances this afternoon while I was waiting, where people went around the traffic that was waiting to make a left-hand turn, got in the right-hand turn lane, and then cut back to go south on Panhandle Road. Somebody's gonna get broadsided, and it's gonna be horrible. So I just asked if the Department of Transportation could take a look at that, do a traffic study. But something needs to be done. We either need a roundabout or a traffic light or something there. It's getting worse day by day. And as more and more houses are built down in the lower part of Clayton County, it's only gonna get worse. So I just ask for your indulgence in that.
Yes, we'll definitely take a look at that and have the T&D director do a traffic flow study of that area, but also in reference to the filming crews. Although they have a right to film, it would be definitely appreciated if, and I'm gonna ask the chief, Roberts, to possibly work with Henry County folks so they can notify us if they're gonna be blocking off any roadways that might lead in or out of the county, so we can give advance notice. So you shouldn't know the day of. You should get some kind of advance notice that something's gonna be filming.
All he would have needed to done today would have moved 100 yards down the road. And he'd have been in Henry County. And then people could have turned onto Hampton Road, which is Clayton County, and got over to Panhandle.
I saw it.
But then again, there might be a reason why he was 100 feet down. We don't know that. That's variable. We don't
All
know.
I'm asking is
But,
be looked into.
well taken.
One quick thing, though, Mr. Chair. I wanted to just address the Lovejoy issue. I've actually been on the phone with Department of GDOT, rather. We got to realize, too, Mr. Trady, part of that congestion is caused by the area that's within the city of Lovejoy, because I've gotten several phone calls on it, and some of it is caused by the McDonough Road area and the congestion as well in that whole area. I believe I received an email as of this week from Transportation Development Director, and it has information about them widening the road. So there are some changes that will also help relieve the congestion also in that Lovejoy area, because it's that whole area that's really congested. So we're addressing
You're
it.
sitting there and you see an opening
Yes.
coming to your right. Then all of a sudden here's a car coming from the left.
I
And
understand.
it works the other way, so you just basically wind up sitting there forever.
Yes, sir. And Kathy from GDOT is coming to meet with us on June 20th, and we're trying to work through some of that. I live there, so I've been complaining myself. We're working on it.
But I like the idea of that roundabout.
I do too.
All right, Margie Trewick.
Chairman and Commissioners.
Speaking to the mic, please, ma'am.
My name is Margie Trewick. I live in Clayton County in the Panhandle. I'm not going to talk about the movies and the traffic, although we do have that problem. My problem is this. On December the 18th, 2018, all the property in the lower Panhandle area was rezoned from agricultural to RS 110. That's not going to solve the problem of better quality houses in Clayton County that you're talking about. To have one RS 110 on 7,000 square foot lots. Without it was rezoned without following the proper procedures. 18 parcels was rezoned. We respectfully ask you to correct this mistake and return all the parcels, all 18, back to agriculture. We do not want any LDR, MDR, HDR, or CR tacked on. If someone wants to build a subdivision, then follow the rules, 1 house per acre only. That includes the proposed subdivision, which was included in the 18 parcels that was mistakenly rezoned. We, the people of the Panhandle, should not have to pay for someone else's mistakes. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we're working on those issues, Ms. Trawick. It should come up in June.
Alicia Bowler. Alicia Bowler.
Yes, ma'am.
Roberto Bowler. Roberta Bowler. Mr. Farmer.
Mr. Farmer, Clayton County, start with the positive. Keith Williams, which is a custodian at the swimming pool by the courthouse. I've watched this gentleman quite a few times. He's doing an exceptional job. Since our Raised Old School thing was closed down for 3 weeks, I've been going to the Griswold Senior Citizen Center. They are doing an exceptional job. Y'all came up with this, no disrespect, gimmick about this splash to help a lot of things out. You said you can't give nobody's money for the splash. I say you need to change the rules. Our police department, the Griswold people work there, and anybody else doing a good job, let's give them some money from the splash and increase their salaries. That's what I say doing, because y'all came up with this, and I never heard this in 30 different countries that I've been in. Recycling. You had a Mayfest concert in the park right there at Lee Street, Taste of Clayton, baseball and soccer matches going on this weekend, and not one recycle bin that I see. I ask y'all that, I think this fix could be simple. I don't know why it's taking so long to this. Not one recycle bin in any of those locations did I see happen. Also, you need a recycle bin at that tennis court over there by the Clayton County Rec Center, because I went by there today. They got a lot of plastic bottles and everything like that. I went to that recycle center over there by the where the school buses are parked at, and asked them. They got a system going. If y'all could use that, you're already using the prisoners at the landfill. Why not put them in the recycle center and clean up Clayton? Y'all talk about Clayton beautiful, but I don't see no results in that. And talking about roads and everything, if you're heading north on Main Street and you get to Noah's Ark and then you want to take a right, if there's somebody in front of you, you can't. We need a right-of-way going there, because there's a whole lot of traffic coming off of Terrell Boulevard that gets to Noah's Ark that want to turn right, and you're going to have problems in this area too. They have enough, I think, side area where you could put in a right turn lane, so whoever's going toward Noah's Ark can get that done. Oh, y'all still got those letters I don't understand? Your financial report and your this meeting here, ma'am, if you could pass this on to the, and I'd like you to get this to read this and get that to Mr. Beasley too. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Henry Anderson.
Henry Anderson, unincorporated Clayton County, Hampton, Georgia. And continuing to talk about and discuss crime, criminal activity, unlawful actions, behaviors, and conduct in unincorporated Clayton County, which is under the jurisdiction, oversight, and control of our Clayton County Police Department. I will now start with and present the crime statistical information and empirical data and numbers on the second major crime category, which is criminal homicide. The term is self-explanatory. Last year in unincorporated 2018 in unincorporated Clayton County, which is under the jurisdiction, oversight, and control of our Clayton County Police Department, there were 37 reported cases of criminal homicides compared to 35 reported cases in 2017 and 39 reported cases in 2016. The crime analysis to date, last year, 2018, the number of reported cases of criminal homicides in unincorporated Clayton County slightly increased by 2 when compared to 2017, which was a 5.7% increase, and decreased by 2 when compared to 2016. The commentary. Our Clayton County Police Department Chief of Police Kevin Robinson and the Executive Police Command staff have done a great job during this completed first year as our police chief by having reductions in crime in 6 of the 8 major crime categories in 2018 when compared to 2017, which were aggravated assaults, burglaries, forcible rapes, larcenies, motor vehicle thefts, and robberies, but unfortunately had an increase in 2 of the 8 major crime categories, which were criminal homicides, which was an increase of 5.7% from 2017, but again, unfortunately had a massive increase in simple assaults, which was an increase of 8.8% from 2017, which speaks again to the population and class of people who are relocated and moved into Clayton County with our good proliferation of massive amounts of apartment homes, rental home and properties, low-end housing, Section 8 housing, mobile home and trailer home parks, low-end extended stay hotels and motels, low-end townhomes, and who bring with them their unlawful law-breaking criminal activities, behaviors, conduct, characteristics, qualities, tendencies, inclination, and propensities that they have to commit these crimes of criminal homicides, simple assaults, along with other major crimes against the law-abiding, decent, hard-working, respectful, honest, principled, honorable, upstanding, well-mannered, well-disciplined, and well-behaving tax-paying citizens of Clayton County who bring value, worth, class, esteem, and professionalism to Clayton County. At least the criminal homicides that occurred in unincorporated Clayton County in 2018 were not stranger-on-stranger homicides where random people were attacked with loss of life, but occurred by people who know one another, by youth gang activity, and by illegal drug dealing where the drug deals went bad, which resulted in criminal homicides. I will continue to give the crime statistical information, empirical data, and numbers on all of the 8 major crime categories for unincorporated Clayton County at the next Clayton County Board of Commissioners regular business meeting.
Jerry Bedingfield.
Good evening. How's everybody tonight?
Good.
I want to appreciate
State your
and
name.
thank the warden.
State your name, sir.
Jerry Bedingfield from Rex, Georgia, unincorporated, the big city, unincorporated. He has been doing a fabulous job here lately on the Veterans Memorial Bridge. And this time of year and the things that are going on, that we should appreciate the people that lived and died for us to be here and to do what we do. I've talked to Mr. Matarco about Evans Drive. You've got Rex Mill Middle School, you got the Rex Park, and you got Adamson School. It's within a triangle from a mile to mile and a half. We need from Rex Road to Rex Mill Middle School upgraded, and I keep coming back for the same thing, because when it's raining, much less somebody in a handicapped piece of equipment, bicycle or whatever, the children have to walk down the middle of the road on the yellow line. There's about 4 or 5 foot at the most, and cars have to stop and go one at a time. So they're working on the west end. He said, please keep this up, and I'd ask for our commissioner to stay on top of this, and let's try to get that small project done. It would make a lot of difference. And I would like to tell y'all that not just the people cutting the grass and keeping the bridge in better shape, but the police department in the last few years has been so good about 911 calls and working the hard they've been working to get out there and follow up and catch some of these people who have been loitering and breaking into buildings and stuff. So just a shout out that I hope they can keep it up, and the diligence of that is showing off now. And I think the gentleman basically is telling you, if you go into a pig farm and you get in with a slopping the hogs in the mud, you're gonna get dirty. So when you're doing zoning, you know, we're gonna have to try to really, the 70s and the 80s, I don't think any of y'all was here unless you was in high school or working, but it was tough. Home builders come in, they throw a house together, and before the person got moved into it good, the materials and stuff would fall apart. Rex Mill Wood had a problem, and not just here, they were on the north side as well. So there needs to be something for Clayton County and the homeowner to be protected if you're going forward. And because we've been trying to struggle on keeping our taxes down, we got a better police and everything. That's why we're desirable right now. We were desirable in the 70s and 80s when things got bad, and we build in the future because we're small and ready to go.
Thank you, sir. Gail Bedingfield.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, and every one of the other commissioners. Nice to see y'all tonight. One thing that the county's doing that I have really appreciated is how you've been honoring the veterans here in Clayton County and having Veteran of the Month. And since we are celebrating Memorial Day on Monday, I'd like to mention a young man from Clayton County who lived in Rex. His name was PFC Robert Adrian Worthington. His family nicknamed him Bubba, so everybody called him Bubba. He was 19 years old when on May the 22nd, 2007, so tomorrow will be his 12th anniversary, he died for our country, for our county, and for all of us. In Taraji, Iraq, he was in the 4th Battalion Infantry Regiment. He was in Operation Iraqi Freedom, and he died from wounds that he suffered when an IED device detonated near him. And so I think I'd like for each and every one of y'all on Memorial Day between now and then, if you have an opportunity to do an act of kindness, cup of coffee, pay for somebody's soda, buy someone a book, a child a toy, do it, and when you do it in his name, to honor him for the honor and the sacrifice that he and his family did for our county. Because every time you see an American flag waving in the breeze, think of it as it's the last breath of that soldier that's passing away that keeps that flag flying in the breeze like it does, so that we're able to enjoy so many of the things that we have in our county and in our state and in our country. Another line I'd like to say, totally apart from that, I gotta kind of piggyback on what Jerry said. Warden Nelson, Lieutenant Sean McDonald, all of those crews have been out in the Rex Village area, and they have done an amazing job on keeping our area up down there. And it's very nice to see it, because when we see that happening in our community, we see our neighbors kicking in and doing it as well. So I'd like to thank them for helping us in our community like they have. So thank y'all, and I hope y'all have a very blessed Memorial Day.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us and bringing up that very important point, because there are so many that have lost their life in defense of this country, so we should never forget. And those who are currently serving, we should always keep them in our prayers as well. So
Yes,
thank
sir.
you for sharing that.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Badenfield, I believe
Yes,
Adrian was the first soldier from Georgia killed in the Iraqi war.
I believe so.
And there's we have a memorial for him in Rex Park, and he used to play ball in Rex
Yeah.
Park, right?
Yes, ma'am. He was a wonderful young man, and his family's been a part of Clayton County for generations and generations. And when we have that much of a outreach from the family to our community, I think it's the least we can do is reach back out to them. And I do appreciate the park being there.
Yep.
Thank you.
Timothy Vondale Jefferson. Okay. Siobhan Simmons. Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, that concludes public comment.
Mr. Chair, before we move on, Dr. Burr from Kendrick Middle, the principal at Kendrick Middle, I didn't see you here earlier when we honored Ms. Goff. Would you stand up? I was telling I was telling Dr. Byrd today that Commissioner Hambrick, she's Fort Valley more than you, okay? So, Dr. Byrd, the principal of Kendrick Middle School. Thank you for coming.
The board will now consider the consent agenda.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
The next item is agenda item 19, which is resolution 2019-58, a resolution by the Clayton County Board of Commissioners increasing the number of members of the Development Authority of Clayton County and authorizing the appointment of additional members to the said authority to provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions?
Yes.
Commissioner Hambrick.
This was passed the latter part of last year, and it was rescinded by this board in January. So I'm trying to find out what's different now than 2018.
Well, if you go back and review the minutes, then you would know that it wasn't that it was, I'm only gonna speak for myself, that opposed to creating the 2 new positions. But in the haste of 3 commissioners putting it on the agenda, they put it on the agenda improperly, which was in violation of our own ordinance. So it wasn't the fact that it should have never been on there, and it was an emergency item, so it could have waited to the first meeting in January. But again, in your haste of putting it on there, which was a Thursday, and our ordinance clearly stated that it had to be placed on the agenda by 5 o'clock on the Wednesday prior to.
So is that, I'm trying to find out why it was rescinded.
Because it should have never been on there. It was illegally done, in my opinion.
Okay, but
Because it was
you-
in violation of the
Okay,
ordinance.
so you want to do it now?
Yes.
My only comments is, it just seems like, I mean, I know we talked about at the retreat, to stop, governing, with, I guess, payback motives, and we committed to moving forward. And this is that same resolution to expand the Development Authority. And in January, again, this board by a vote of 3-2 voted to rescind it, and now we're coming back. It just seemed like there's just an effort to control, or it just seemed like it has some ulterior motives here, and that's just my comments. I don't.
Now, Commissioner, you voted for it the first time, so there shouldn't be no problem putting it back on and getting your vote for it the second time.
I don't
and
think
retaliatory,
it has the same
hold on,
intent.
I'm not finished my
I don't
comments.
think it has the same intent.
And you say retaliatory, I don't know what we're retaliating against. I think that board would benefit by being expanded, just like you did in December, so that's why I chose to put it back on there again.
Mr. Chair, I just have one quick statement. I concur, and I believe that if we go back to the minutes, it was stated that it was done improperly at the time. And if we want to bring it on record, I believe that it was already in the newspaper that we received several other things that happened after that last meeting. And so I do concur with us doing it and doing it in order. And I call for the question at this point so that we can just everybody take a vote.
All right, question's been called. I'll second the motion. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 3-2, it passes. The motion is to approve. It's been second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Not unanimous. Do we have any those opposed?
I didn't hear you.
We just,
You already
voted.
You already did it.
No, on the approval of the whatchamacallit. We did it, we took the motion on the column of the question.
Okay, well, nay.
Yeah.
3-2, Madam Clerk.
I thought you were voting on the actual
Right.
No,
resolution.
we moved on. She called the question, in case y'all didn't catch it. All right, next, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman, the next item are zoning matters.
I thought we took off one other item.
Took out number 8.
What was it?
Number 8.
No, number 8 we took off altogether.
You took it
Okay.
off altogether.
Okay. I'm sorry. Proceed on, Madam Clerk, for the zoning.
On May the 7th, 2019, the Board of Commissioners approved time limit on public hearings for zoning. Citizens may speak for or against an item that is considered by law to be a zoning decision, and each side will have 10 minutes to present its case. In the event there is more than one speaker per side, speakers must divide their time in order to complete their full presentation within the 10-minute time allotment. When the time runs out, the speakers are expected to immediately cease speaking and leave the podium. Applicants or citizens speaking in favor of an item shall speak first. Applicants in zoning ordinance cases shall have the right to reserve time for rebuttal. Opponents of the zoning decision item shall have no right of rebuttal. When speaking, speak directly into the microphone and begin by stating your name, address, and name of any organization you represent. Abusive, profane, or derogatory language will not be permitted. Holding up signs, clapping, or yelling to show support for or opposition to a speaker will not be permitted, but a show of hands or quietly standing will be permitted to show support for or opposition to a speaker's position. The first item is CUP 1902-18, Polo Investment to allow for a gasoline station. It is in Commissioner District 4, Commissioner DeMont Davis. It will be presented by Planning and Zoning.
The subject request.
Hold on a second, Ms. Spann. Yeah, if y'all would just come and take a seat behind the podium. Ms. Spann. What's wrong?
Yes. Yes, this request for a conditional use permit is for a gasoline station located on, Highway 138 at the corner of North Avenue. Staff recommendation is for approval with 6 conditions that's in your record. The zoning advisory group recommendation is for approval with the same conditions that staff recommended.
Okay, at this point, I'm gonna ask for anyone who is for and would like to speak this applicant's request to come forward. If anybody wants to speak for.
Petitioner first?
Mr. Chairman, I'm
Hold
going
on.
to ask the applicant if they would like to reserve some
Yeah,
time.
I was gonna see if they were gonna get anybody to speak for it. But would you like to speak? You can speak on your behalf now, and then if you would like to save some time for rebuttal at the end, you need to declare how many minutes you want to save at the end.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, why don't we spend 5 minutes now and keep 5 if that's okay? There's a total of 10?
It's a total of 10 minutes, but and in your case, you're okay because it doesn't look like anybody want to speak up in reference to supporting it.
Right.
So, yeah, if you want to take 5 now and reserve 5 at the end for any rebuttal,
I
that'll
would
be
hope
fine.
we wouldn't even need the second 5, which is out of an abundance of caution. I'm not, I know you've got a long agenda, and I'm going to set my timer and just be quick.
Oh, we'll take care of that for you.
Okay. It's efficient.
Hold
So if
on
you
one-
would, state
one-
your name and
if you could give
who
us
you
1
represent.
second, please. He's speaking 5 and reserving 5.
I'll try and beat the 5.
All right, now you can start.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. My name is Jeremy Berry. I'm an attorney with the firm Hilliard Starkey. With me is Ron Crump of Continuo Group and Salajani from Next Level Petroleum, who the application is filed on behalf of Next Level Petroleum, though Gigi Arnett from Continuo is named on the paperwork. As was said previously, this is an application for a conditional use permit. Next Level Petroleum is a fuel jobber, and its primary business model is to provide fuel to fuel stations around the southeast. But this application involves a request that represents a separate and growing part of their business. What they do is try and identify properties that are poorly kept and or maintained, fuel stations, convenience store sites, and redevelop them aesthetically and improve them. The application before you today is one such redevelopment project where Next Level Petroleum is seeking to redevelop a former QT service station on an existing 1.5 acre site. Since the time the QT was first constructed, a fuel station in the general business zoning district where the property is located is only permitted by conditional use permit. As such, to reactivate the fuel station and convenience store on the site, Next Level Petroleum must obtain a conditional use permit. The specific request is to add 5 additional fuel pump islands for a total of 6, and to construct a fuel canopy over the fuel pumps. As part of the project, Next Level Petroleum also seeks to renovate and upgrade the exterior and interior of the existing 4,000 square foot building on site. We met with the zoning advisory group, received their favorable recommendation. There were no people who spoke in opposition to the request at the meeting. And again, we received a favorable recommendation from staff and have accepted all of the proposed 6 conditions. We'd respectfully request that you adopt the recommendation of the staff and the zoning advisory group and vote to approve this request as presented, including the 6 conditions recommended by staff. I'm available as well as Mr. Crump or Mr. Ajani to answer any questions you've got.
Okay, thank you. Now, is there anybody here that would like to speak against the applicant's request? Anybody would like to speak against it? Hearing and seeing no one. Commissioner Davis?
Move we approve this with conditions as stated.
Is there a second?
Second.
Chairman, before you please have her read the conditions into the record.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Thank you. Madeline, please read the conditions.
Yes. The first condition, all trash dispensaries are to be enclosed on 3 sides with brick or masonry material that's consistent with the primary building's facade. Signage is to be limited to 1 monument ground sign and 3 canopy signs and 1 wall sign. No outside vending machines. Maximum development site area shall be limited to the 1.5 acres that's part of the application. Provide 1 trash receptacle container at each pump. Provide 8-foot sidewalks along the adjacent road frontages. That concludes the 6 conditions recommended by staff and the zoning advisory group.
And I know you already stated it, but if you could state it again, for a matter of the records, you are in agreement, the applicant is in agreement with the conditions.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we're in agreement.
Okay. All right. We got a motion and a second. Any other questions?
You said a convenience store. Is there any particular type of convenience store, or Shell, Exxon, whatever?
Name brand.
Circle K would likely be the flag on the actual convenience store, and Shell brand would be the flag on the gasoline.
Okay. Commissioner, is this where, near 138, we're going toward Riverdale area?
Yes,
Correct.
that's split.
Okay. Now, is your store gonna look just like that? I know that's just a rendering, but is it gonna look like that? Is that?
It is the materials of Circle K, and it is their prototype kind of facade look that they are trying to go to with everything. Of course, this hasn't been vetted by the architect against your particular codes completely, but barring any unforeseen requirements, this would be the facade that Circle K is requesting.
Okay. I'm always real curious about that. I'll tell you why, Commissioner. If you look at that plaza right across from Allen Visual Ford, the developer presented it as the shops on Mount Zion with cafes, outdoor eateries. The renderings were so beautiful. And look at it now. So I just wanted to know, is this just a rendering you're bringing for us, or is this something representative of what it's going to be? Because we get a lot of pretty pictures in here.
Yeah, truly, you wouldn't be showing us some window dressing, would you? No.
I mean, when we're
That's a
talking
good
about
point. That's a good
same
point.
thing
That's a
with
good
the houses
point.
that Commissioner Warner and I were talking about earlier. When we talk about these things, I mean, it's something we got to consider. I've seen extended stays come in here. You think they're 5-star hotels, and look at them now. It is.
She's saying, are you gonna play the switcheroo, sir?
I have absolutely no desire.
To the best of your knowledge, that's what
It's on
intent
record.
is.
You just put that on record. So we've got that visual. And I'm gonna also make a note. We got all this beautiful technology. Can we make sure that all this is submitted to us, not on a board where it's taken back away? Then that's to attribute to both Commissioner Gregory and Chairman's comments, because then we can put it in the record. And then that way we have something to go back to, and we can look at it on this pretty screen. We have technology. So please bring it to us next time on a hard flash drive.
Sorry, I think it was emailed.
Oh, okay.
You know, I have to
Okay,
agree
thank
with
you.
Commissioner Gregory, and totally. And I guess the question is, how do we begin to protect ourselves in the event that does happen? I mean, does the final approval does come through you, though?
Right, we could add this as a condition if that's your wish, that the rendering presented at the meeting, that they be conditioned to the elevations, the appearances of the building to match that, and they could submit that
I
to
don't
us
think that's
on the
legal.
following days, if we-
Mhm.
and we
No,
could
you need to
include that in the
check.
Or
record.
close to it, correct. I agree.
Check with
What
legal.
is it, Mr. Reed?
I think having a condition like that might be tough to enforce.
Mhm.
Because,
Constitutional challenge.
well, because there may be certain codes or development standards that this may or may not apply to this picture. And so we don't want to either be tying ourselves to say that they have to violate our code or say, well, they bring something else and we say, no, that doesn't look like this. I think as long as we have in the record that this is what it should look like, then as staff looks at what's been presented as part of the plans, they can go back and forth with the applicant who has stated here on the record that they plan on presenting what is as close to this project as is depicted on this picture.
I think that's fair.
Well, I guess my question is, what is our recourse, as Commissioner Gregory stated, if it doesn't look like that?
That's a good point.
I'll state that it is in the 138 overlay district, and we do have some architectural standards for the overlay district that does help us in these situations, that we've already adopted a certain appearance, architectural appearance. So they'll have to abide by the 138 overlay.
Can you provide us with that information moving forward? When you all bring something before us, please include it with all the information so that we can make a good decision based upon whatever our requirements are, architectural standards or overlay districts.
Okay, any other questions?
Electronically, I don't get it.
Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The next item is item B, CUP 1902-0021, Gillum Community Church to allow place of worship. It's in Commissioner DeMont Davis area. Planning and zoning will present.
Applicants, please come forward.
While they're coming
We have a-
forward, I'm noticing, in the past, you all have put on here that ZAG either, approved or did not approve or approved with conditions, and I don't see that on mine.
I don't either.
That helped. I don't know if it was an oversight or if this is something new.
Right, we do have that included in our projections, and I apologize, we having some little difficulties getting a switch over.
Okay.
So once we are able to put the projection on the screen, then we'll have the visuals for you. So I apologize that the slowness on the
Okay.
switch over.
Okay,
That helps me.
Let's not prolong the time. So, Madam,
It's not
Ms.
on.
Span, go ahead and.
Yes.
It's not on there.
We have before you a conditional use permit for a place of worship located at 1671 Highway 138. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions. The ZAG also recommends approval with the same conditions as staff. I'll read into record the conditions. The proposed site development shall be subject to the site plan submitted to Clayton County Community Development Department, included all the amenities depicted on the applicant's conceptual site plan. That's included in the attached report. Provide an 8-foot sidewalk along the right-of-way of 138 and Bambi Lane along the frontages, and this shall be subject to the requirements of the Transportation Department. The site shall be limited to 2 curb cuts, one on Bambi Lane and one on Highway 138. Provide a 25-foot undisturbed buffer adjacent to all residential zone properties. The proposed walking trail shall be mulched within the existing undisturbed buffer and not a hard surface. That concludes the 5 conditions recommended by staff and supported by the zoning advisory group.
All right, so we'll hear, obviously you're for it, so we'll hear from you. And if you would like to reserve any minutes for rebuttal, if anybody's opposed to it, if you would just state how many minutes you would like to save on the backside.
First of all, I'd like to say good evening to the commissioners. I'd like to start off with 4 minutes and leave 6 for rebuttal.
6 for rebuttal, 4 regular.
Please proceed, Pastor.
I'm John Wilson, the pastor of Gillum Community Church, and we're requesting conditional use permit for the board approval. And the reason why we have asked for that, one of our things that would differentiate us in Clayton County is with a shortage of EMTs in the world, we're asking it to also, as a measure, to try to use transportation as one of our measures. We'd like to also partner with the middle school on two main issues that's plaguing our United States of America, which is sex trafficking and bullying. We'd like to partner with that. We also have a military-based background, 20 years plus retirement militaries, that we have people that can also assist with these endeavors, not just to speak it, but to actually move on this endeavor. And also, we like to just show that there's a lot of work that needs to be done in Clayton County, and Gillum Community Church want to be the forefront of making that happen in Clayton County.
All right. Is there anybody else with your group?
Yes, we also have my chairman, and also have my planning committee, Dr. Brown and Dr. Marvin Brown, and with plans and pictures if you don't have them. And my wife, First Lady Cheryl Wilson.
Good evening. Just to give a little bit of history of Gillum Community Church. In 2008, the Base Realignment Committee, which was BRAC, selected Gillum, Fort Gillum, located in Forest Park, as one of the military installations that would be closed. We all attended Fort Gillum Chapel there. Many of the members had attended Fort Gillum Chapel for 30 years. And so when the BRAC department decided that they were going to do away with Fort Gillum, the church family decided that we wanted to stay together and to have an impact in the community. So February 2009, Pastor E.J. Childs served as our first pastor, and August of 2010, Gillum Community Church, we found our new home, which was 1671 currently in Morrow, Georgia. On October 2013, God sent us a mighty man of God, who is our Reverend John Wilson now, who serves as our pastor. On November 17th, we conducted our installation of Pastor Wilson, and he now serves with us. Again, the purpose of this was to keep our church family together. Many of us served our country for more than 20 years, to include myself, a retiree from the United States military, and most of our congregants come from a military background. So we're asking that you please allow us to have our church home. It's been 10 years now, and we look forward to moving out in the community and being about the work of God.
Madam Clerk, are you keeping up with the time? Because it's not displayed, so I don't know where we are.
They're keeping up. She's keeping up for me. 30 seconds. It's only 30 seconds left.
Okay. All right, is there anybody who would like to speak for this applicant's request? Anybody here want to speak for it? Okay, is anybody here who would like to speak against the request? Anybody want to speak against it? Commissioner Davis, unless you want to, well, there's nothing to rebut. Commissioner Davis.
Well, I can personally vouch for Pastor Wilson. He's done a great job in this community, and I want to say thank you for all you've done here. We know we need more men and community church members that are doing what you all are doing.
I'm sorry. Was there any special conditions?
Right, I read into the conditions that they would abide by the site plan and the number of curb cuts.
Go ahead, read them again, and if you would, Pastor, if you agree with it, then just say so. The
proposed site development shall be subject to the site plan submitted to the Clayton County Community Development Department and shall include all amenities depicted on the applicant's conceptual site plan, which is included in the staff report. Provide an 8-foot sidewalk along the right-of-way of Highway 138 and Bambi Lane. The sidewalk installation shall be subject to the requirements of the Transportation and Development Department. Site shall be limited to 2 curb cuts, 1 curb cut on Bambi Lane and 1 on Highway 138. Provide a 25-foot undisturbed buffer adjacent to all residential zone properties. And the proposed walking trail that goes through the undisturbed buffer shall be a mulched trail.
You agree with that? With the conditions?
With the conditions, yes, sir.
Commissioner Davis, your motion.
Yes, I move that we approve this with the conditions as read.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Warner, second the motion. Any questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you, sir.
God bless you. Thank you.
Pastor Wilson, all I would say is, I just hope your wife gets you out of those ugly Detroit Lion jerseys that you had on.
Oh,
And
no.
Chicago
he
Bears,
did not.
Chicago Bears.
Chicago Bears, same thing.
Not a problem, sir.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. We're here to serve the community.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Coming from a coach.
The next item is C, UP 1902-022, Koki Lot. It's to allow an emission testing center. This is in Commissioner DeMont Davis, and Planning and Zoning will make this presentation.
Yes, the property is located at 6937 Jonesboro Road. It's for a freestanding emission station to locate within an existing structure that's already on site. It's in conjunction with an existing gas and convenience facility that's already on the property. Staff recommendations for approval with 4 conditions, and the zoning advisory group second these conditions and recommend support of these 4 conditions. They are: the parking area shall be paved and striped in accordance to standards. There shall be no parking in the front of the garage bay area blocking the entrance to the emission facility. Signage for the emission testing is to be limited to 1 wall sign with a maximum of 10% of wall coverage on the building facade. There shall be no expansion of the existing emission facility structure. The upgrades shall be made to the exterior building facade, including painting and repair of any exterior facade deterioration.
All right, is anybody who would like to speak for this request, in favor of it? Anybody like to speak? State your name and either your agency or your residence, county of residence.
My name is Kofi Abudipo. I live at 1421.
Speaking to the mic, sir.
My name is Kofi Abudipo. Live at 1421 Amiralis Way, Riverdale, Georgia 30296. And I'm here today to get permission for the emission testing at Jonesboro Road. And I hope everything will be going well. I hope to do it as I want, and I hope that I will take it seriously, and everything will go like everything we expect. And anyway, this is what I want. This is what I'm here today.
Gotcha.
All right, thank you, sir. Anything to add? No? Okay. Thank you, sir. Does anybody want to speak against this applicant's request? Anybody like to speak against it? Commissioner Davis.
Move that we approve this as with the conditions as read.
Okay, restate the conditions, and again, this is your request, so I need you to confirm that you are good with the conditions. Ms. Fan.
Parking shall be paved and striped in the surrounding parking area. There shall be no parking in front of the garage bay area blocking the entrance. Signage for the emissions testing is to be limited to 1 wall sign with a maximum of 10% wall coverage on the building facade. There shall be no expansion to the existing emission facility. Upgrades shall be made to the exterior building facade, including painting and repair of any exterior facade deterioration.
All right, and there's a motion to approve. I'll second the motion. Any other questions?
I just have one quick question. I'm trying to see where it is visibly. I understand what you're saying, but it's really for that little circle area is the only area we're discussing changing. What's in the front of it? I'm sorry. What's that T shape?
That's the canopy for a gas station.
Is there one already?
The gas pumps are on there.
Oh, near Toyota South? Near
The address is 6937 Jonesboro Road, Georgia 30296. It's near Nissan South.
Yeah.
Nissan South,
Mhm.
BP gas station.
That's the-
Just near
yeah.
gas station.
Okay.
Any other questions?
It's at the corner of Jonesboro Road and Commerce Road.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, I see that.
Any other questions?
Chairman, before you have the vote, the applicant did not acknowledge he was
Oh, I
agreeing
thought
to
he
the.
did.
He did?
Yeah. You are in agreement with the conditions, correct?
Yes.
All right, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you, sir.
The next item is a rezoning 1903-0017 Penske Truck Leasing, rezone MX to LI for truck leasing, rental, and servicing facility. This is in Commissioner Hamburg's area.
All right, applicants come forward.
We have a request before you to rezone the subject property from MX zoning district to LI light industrial to allow for a Penske truck rental facility. The site that's proposed for development straddles both the property of City of Atlanta and Clayton County. The portions of the property that's going to be located in Clayton County consist of primarily parking for the Penske vehicles and one service area and fueling area for the Penske vehicles. Staff recommendation is for approval conditional with 3 conditions, and the zoning advisory group supported these same 3 conditions. And they are, as read, to provide a decorative fence along the property lines adjacent to Tradeport Boulevard right-of-way, comply with the site plan recommendation as a result of the reviews by the Clayton County Transportation Development Department, provide apprenticeship training program in association with the Clayton County Economic Development Board. That was a recommendation of the zoning advisory group, that there should be some type of apprenticeship program in association with training persons associated with the Penske in terms of drivers or whatever, and they have indicated some agreement to that condition.
Mr. Reed, is that something that is allowable to have an apprenticeship program as a condition?
I would not think that would be something we would want to encourage.
Yeah, I kind of thinking the same thing, even though that they might be open to doing that, but
And they can talk to the
if we
school
have the
system.
applicant, whoever's gonna speak for the applicant's request. And sir, if you would, if you wanna hold any minutes back for rebuttal, please state how many you would need.
Let's go with 7 for presentation and 3 for rebuttal. We may not use all
You
that.
wanna take the whole 10 minutes, don't you?
I'll take it if you give it to me.
But just remember, and I'm just saying this, I should have said it a long time ago, that when, as the applicant, the more minutes you take on the front end, if anybody wants to speak in favor of you on your behalf, then you're taking up their time to speak too.
I
So,
completely understand. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is David Kirk. I practice law with the law firm of Troutman Sanders, 600 Peachtree Street. With me here this evening is the whole Penske team, and I'll just ask them to raise their hands when I give you their names. First is Kathy Crockett, who's the Senior Manager of Real Estate. Greg Taylor's also here. He's Director of Facilities for the Southeast and South Central region. Jason Weeks is over my left shoulder. We also have Raphael Lawrence here with us this evening. The slide says David Braswell. He was called out of town unexpectedly, so we have the A-team here with Mr. Lawrence. Before discussing the merits of the application, I've just asked Mr. Weeks to give you a very brief overview of Penske Corporation and Penske Truck Leasing.
Good evening.
Good
I'm Jason Weeks. I'm District Manager for Penske Truck Leasing in Jonesboro. And I want to give just a brief overview of Penske Corporation. What we'll focus mainly on the next slide here is Penske Corporation was started by Roger Penske, famed race car driver, businessman, and it's broken into 4 main divisions, with transportation being the truck rental and leasing side, which is what we'll focus most of the time on tonight. But to give you an overview, we do have the Penske Automotive Group, which is car dealerships that are spread around the country. We have Team Penske, which is the racing division for Indy and NASCAR racing that Roger's heavily involved in. and then a private equity group, which includes several transportation support businesses as well. So to focus on the transportation piece on the next slide, kind of telling you what we do. Penske Truck Rental, you've seen our yellow trucks going up and down the road. We rent those commercially, so a business needs to rent a truck for a day to supplement their business, or a week, or long term. They can come to Penske and pick up those trucks. Consumer rental, if you're moving an apartment or a house across town or across the country, you can come pick up a Penske truck. And those are really our billboards rolling up and down the roads. They're nice, clean, well-maintained units. On the next slide, we'll talk about the truck leasing side, which is the largest piece of our business. And that's long-term contracts that we've got with customers where they contractually sign up their one unit or their fleet of units with Penske. We decal it to their standards, and we spec the truck to meet their business needs. So it's a longer-term commitment. We own the truck. We do all the maintenance, handle licensing and everything for them. They provide a driver, insurance, and fuel, and that's really their own responsibility. When you look at the next slide, we just threw in some customers that we do business with around this area, whether we're partnered through rental relationships or long-term contract relationships from a leasing standpoint, or in some cases like Home Depot, they do rent our trucks for us, which makes it easier for customers to come pick up rental units. With that, I was going to turn it back over to David and let him talk about the specifics of this project.
Thanks, Jason. If I could have the next slide, please, Mr. McSwain. And then just go to the very next one. That'd be great. Thank you. Just in very quick summary, we're looking to open a state-of-the-art facility that offers this full-service truck leasing, the consumer and the truck rental, as well as fleet maintenance services. This is a somewhat unusual site in that it's a 14-acre site, but most of it is actually in the city of Atlanta. About 9 acres are in the city of Atlanta, 5 acres are in Clayton County. The Atlanta parcel is zoned appropriately, heavy industrial, which allows Penske's use. The Clayton County parcel is not. That's why we're here before you this evening. If I could have the next slide. You see there quite clearly the line with the Fulton County Atlanta parcel to the north and the Clayton County parcel to the south. Surrounding businesses include shipping companies, logistics. Delta has a facility over there. SD's Heating and Air has a facility over there, as does a organization called Icebox, which does corporate branded items. If I could have the next slide, please. We've rotated this 90 degrees, so Clayton County portion is to the right of that green line. That's about, as I said, about 5 acres. We're going to develop less than 4 acres of that. The white area to the bottom of the parking field is a new detention facility, and then the sort of square area there that Mr. McSwain is indicating is about 1.25 acres of tree save that we're not going to touch. There is a fuel island in this portion of the site. That is for Penske customers only. It's not a public fuel station. It's for Penske customers only. If I could have the next slide, please. Mindful of your discussion about renderings and versus the real thing, this is a rendering of the facility, the prototype facility that we intend to build on this site. If I could have the next slide, that's an actual building in Mobile that is virtually identical to what we're going to be doing here. Next slide, please. Let me talk briefly about the economic impact. This facility will bring 47 new jobs, and will shift about 10 existing jobs. And I believe, Jason, are you going to be shifting this? Some other regional staff are going to be going there as well. You can see the average wage, the wage range, the projected revenue, and importantly for Clayton County, that bottom line, that's the sales tax that that it will yield on an annual basis to Clayton County. That's our best estimate currently. Obviously, if sales are higher, taxes will be higher as well, and that does not include the property tax. But the next one, again, we're here before you to ask for the rezoning of the property from the MX to the light industrial to allow for this facility. As staff report has indicated, meets the standards in your zoning ordinance. We are amenable to the conditions. Mindful of the discussion you just have, I will let you know that I've personally spoken with William Corbin at Invest Clayton. he has gotten us in touch with job training folks at the Atlanta Regional Commission, and we're currently talking with them. So if you don't want to make it a condition, that's fine. We are exploring opportunities for job training independent of any conditions, and we've already started doing that. Thank you very much. Again, I appreciate your attention, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. We have the entire team here to do so.
Thank you, sir. Is there anybody here want to speak for this request? Ms. Goree, come on down.
Is she speaking in favor or against?
This is for a favor. We still got some minutes left.
Yes, I'm speaking in favor, but I kind of got in on the tail end of some of those conditions. You all talked about apprenticeships or whatever, and you all might have said that it shouldn't be inclusive, but as the chairperson of the Clayton County Board of Education, I would speak in favor of it, hoping that the company would think about doing some apprenticeships and partnerships with the Clayton County Board of Education. So let me turn around. I saw those partners you had. I would like to see our seal and emblem as one of your partners, if
And
you don't mind.
let me say this, Ms. Goree, and again, there's some legalities whether or not we can actually put that as a condition
know.
to approval. But my conversations with the gentleman behind you have been favorable as yes, that's what they want to do is get with the school
Oh,
system
I understand.
for that program.
I just thought I would come up here and put it out there
Duly noted.
in the atmosphere.
Duly
Thank
noted.
you.
She had to get that plug in.
Anybody else? All right, anybody want to speak against the applicant's request? Anybody want to speak against it? All right, Commissioner Hambrick.
Okay, we've been talking back and forth with this for a while, so, and the conditions I would like to have read again, please.
Yes, the conditions are to provide a decorative fence along the property line adjacent to the Tradeport Boulevard right-of-way, so that would be along the front entrance of the property. And for condition number 2, for clarification, that's to comply with site plan access recommendations as to be approved by the Clayton County Transportation and Development Department. Condition number 3 is the condition that speaks about apprenticeship training, and you could choose to strike that condition if you wish. So that would be 2 conditions on the table if you strike that condition.
Well, instead of providing, can we just say recommend, a recommendation?
The issue is whether you can tie that to the actual rezoning process. I mean, I think, I think certainly you can ask them if they will be doing something like that, but not necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily.
Wouldn't put it as a condition.
Exactly.
How about we get a gentleman's handshake on it afterward? How
Okay,
about that?
right. We'll just drop number 3, but work with you all regarding that, or you all work with Clayton County and school system, or?
Yes, ma'am. As I stated, I've spoken with Mr. Corbin already.
Okay.
And he's given us some names. I believe Jason has reached out to those folks or has a call scheduled with those folks in the near future. We're anxious to get folks to fill the jobs that we're going to be providing here in Clayton County, and we're going to do everything we can to get folks trained.
Right, and that is one of the things, yeah, I was about to say, that is one thing.
Jason will give you his, I think a couple of you may have his card.
Right, we talked about that before, as hiring Clayton County residents, so, okay. Okay, well.
Commissioner, no, you gotta wait.
Right.
Go ahead. Do you have a motion?
You're right, yes.
Go ahead.
Was it something else?
No,
Okay.
wait on you.
Okay, yes, I would like to recommend approval with the conditions, yes, with the 2 conditions.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Any questions, Commissioner?
Just one quick question, and it just piggybacks on what you were saying, Commissioner. You said the jobs were 57 with 34K to 150K. It's already been put out there that this board is focused on making sure we give an opportunity to residents, but also not just to the jobs themselves, but also the ones that are the higher paying jobs. Because what tends to happen is we see companies coming in and everybody comes in from someplace else, and then we see the $30,000 jobs being filled by locals. I just want you all to know we have extremely capable people here, and as you just heard from the school board, we can make sure that we get those positions filled. And then the last question on that, sales tax. I got a question, and then I'm cool with it. I mean, I'm so sorry. Is it like the car tag? Because I see when you say sales tax, but if I'm not mistaken, when you purchase a vehicle in the county, the taxes go back to the place of the residency. So can y'all help me?
We're talking about the fuel tax.
The fuel tax, not the person.
Not the
I'm
personal-
sorry.
not the
Okay, that
personal
clarified
property
it.
tax.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Any other questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The next item is a rezoning 1903-0018, Justina U. Woody, rezone GB to MX to allow for commercial and residential. This is in Commissioner Hambrick's area. Planning and zoning will present.
We have a request for rezoning for approximately a half-acre parcel of land located at 855 Highway 138. The request for rezoning is from GB General Business District to the MX District to allow a mixed-use development consisting of 3,200 square feet of commercial space on a bottom level floor with 6 units of residential condominiums on the top floor. Staff recommendation is for approval with conditions, and the zoning advisory group also recommends approval with the stated conditions that I'm to read. Limit the number of upper floors to no more than 6 residential condominium ownership form at a minimum of 576 square feet per unit. The ground floor commercial space shall be limited to these following uses: personal services, professional office space, artist display studio, fruit markets, health club and spas, florist, medical clinic, bookstores, and walk-in cafes. The fourth condition is to provide an 8-foot sidewalk along the Highway 138 right-of-way. The final condition, well, the sixth condition is that architectural design shall be consistent with the Highway 138 overlay district. And the site, and the seventh condition is the site shall comply with the Clayton County tree ordinance requirements for tree preservation. There's seven stated conditions.
Good evening, how y'all doing? I have some designs, can I bring them up to you?
No, give them to her.
Okay.
Before you start, ma'am, Ms. Pan, I apologize if I missed it, but did you say, well, I see ZAG approved?
Right, zoning advisory group recommended approval condition with staff conditions.
With the conditions, yeah. Okay.
That's fine.
All right, how many minutes would you like to say for rebuttal if needed?
5 and 5 is fine, please.
5, okay.
Okay, my name is Justina Woody. I represent Ramtech Construction Company. We own that property there that you see. We came here before, well, I came here before, had to do some changes on the plan for a hair salon on the bottom floor, which is luxury upscale hair salon, and on top would be 6 units of condos, luxury condos that we would sell. So the changes that we had to make was on the condos. We had to change the square footage. So if you see the designs, we actually changed that. In the sidewalk, we had to do some changes, and we made those changes also. I also brought in some designs of the interior, what it would look like in the hair salon, and the site plan of what we're going to be doing. And the exterior is going to be brick and stucco. The last thing I think we needed to do was the tree ordinance, which I got a quote from a company. I emailed that to Tyler, and it was about $56,000, and I got that approved with the owner of the land to go forward with that if this project is approved. I also took a recommendation from one of the people that were here before, because we're going to be buying the lots to the right of that property, and they recommend to have an upscale cafe there. I spoke to an owner that owns the Crab Spot in Hapeville. He owns another location, Route 66 in Alpharetta, and he would be ready to also open up next door after we get approved, to continue the upscale look of something that where you can eat and get your hair done, relax, and, you know, people can live there in that area.
Okay. Anybody here want to speak in favor of this request? Sure, come on down, Ms. Gorey. Is that different? No.
Jessie Goree, City of Riverdale. I would definitely speak in favor of this. Number one, because in the City of Riverdale, this was actually something that we proposed years ago, having a community where at the bottom level we had businesses and upscale. The part that I like most about, though, is the upscale condominiums. I think that we're in Clayton County. We are at a point where we need to have a live, work, play area, and if they're going to be upscale, and that's the district that I live in, I would certainly be in favor of it. Also, bringing in the other businesses that would enhance our community.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else like to speak for it? Anybody want to speak against it? Anybody like to speak against it? Ms. Amber?
Well, this is my first time hearing about this. I know the communities that are in that surrounding area that are very active constituents. They don't know about this or whatever. So is there a way that we've had the public hearing that we can delay until I get with the neighborhoods there off of 138 that are very active?
You can defer to a date certain for decision only.
Oh, right, that's fine, right, yes, because I don't know, and I know they don't know about this.
Well,
Yes, ma'am.
actually, we were given a list of business owners and residents in the area, and we mailed out at least, I think, 15 to 20 information about the property, and nobody ever said anything.
I'm saying because they don't know. Right, but I would like to find out from my constituents how they feel about this, and just have a meeting with them and get some input.
Okay.
What's your ask? Are you asking her to defer?
Yes.
Are you in agreement to that, or do you want us to vote on it today?
I mean, well, we've had many meetings and many times where people could have came and they could have said something. Myself, my goal is right now, it's May going on June. So it's going to take a couple of months to get that land where it needs to be. And then you have to keep in mind that in November and December, we're coming through holidays, and then in January. So if we slow up the process now, then we're going to have to start in 2020. So we just have to keep that in mind.
I'm sorry. Is this a new construction, or is it already standing building?
Oh, no. What you see is what's there. It's a bunch of trees, and there's an abandoned house. So all that would have to be cleaned out. It's going to take time.
Take place at the abandoned house.
Yeah.
I have a question, Mr. Chair. You mentioned you've been having meetings. Can you let us know who you've been having meetings with? And you specifically said
No, I'm
somebody
just saying
said-
just the regular Clayton County meetings. The
regular
regular
Clayton
board
with
meetings.
planning and zoning.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay, then. That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
And when you had those meetings, did anybody speak up or against?
No, we have not heard from any of the surrounding property owners.
And you said you mailed out
Mhm,
how
yes,
many?
I mailed
to
everything
the
out.
local business people?
Correct, and I put all the receipts and emailed them to Linda and Tyler.
The mail-outs generally cover an area within 250 feet surrounding the property.
Yeah.
So 300 feet, so it may encompass some of the residents, but it certainly did not reach all of the residents. But at the citizens information meeting, no one was in attendance, nor were there any public attendant at the ZAG. The property, yeah.
And it doesn't look like there's, what other homes or structures
All
or
back there.
businesses?
All back there, all around. I know my area.
Back through here?
So there's a couple of options. the commissioner, you can make a motion to defer to a certain day. If the applicant does not want to, to agree to that, then you can just make a motion to approve or deny based on what you've heard today.
Okay, well, I would like to delay.
What's your pleasure?
Well, what day would you like? That might help.
Well, she gotta agree to it first.
Well, if she knows what day it is, that might help her
Right.
discern.
I want to do it, but go ahead, I'm sorry.
That would be the first meeting in June. First meeting, there's no need for an additional public hearing since we've held the public
Yeah, so
hearing
we can have
tonight,
it first
unless you
meeting in
desire to have a public hearing.
No,
So
I
we-
want to get with my constituents.
Right, so.
In that
if-
area.
If there's enough time for you to do that before the June 4th meeting, that would be up to
No,
you.
I don't.
Okay, so then the next meeting would be June 18.
June 18th sounds better.
That's the, what, day after Father's Day or something?
That would be that Tuesday following Father's Day, yes, ma'am.
I guess we have no choice. I guess we have no choice. I have faith in God, and I believe you'll love the project.
Okay, so you're in agreement.
Do I make that in the form of a
Right,
motion?
just make a motion to defer, just for decision
State it.
only to June 18.
State,
Okay, well, yes.
Before that time, is there anything that you would like me to prepare for you and have ready for that date?
Well, I would like to meet with you.
Okay,
That would
great.
help.
Okay.
And we discuss it and go over, and if you have other projects that you've done, I would like to see those and all, and,
Okay, great. Definitely. Definitely. Okay, I guess we could talk on the side, or we do make a meeting now, or how does it work?
No, she's made a
No,
motion.
in the future, right.
We'll reach out to you and
Okay.
connect you with
Right.
Commissioner Hamburg.
Okay.
Hold on,
Well,
sir.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, I would move that we delay this decision until June 18th, I believe was the date, which is the second commission meeting and the regular zoning board meeting, zoning meeting for the commissions. Did I include everything?
Yes, I think that's
Okay.
sufficient.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. That's it.
All right, thank you, and I'll see you guys then. Have a blessed evening.
You too.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
the next items are all appointments.
Okay, first appointment is to the Family and Children's Services, the expiring term of Tia Simone. Term expires on June 30th, 2019, and the next term will end June 30th of 2024. Any recommendations?
I make a motion that we reappoint Ms. Simone to that position.
I'll second the motion. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Next appointment to the Library Board, expiring term of Donna Brooks. Her term expires on 6/30/2019. Next term will end 6/30/2022. Any recommendations? Any recommendations?
Can we hold?
Well, if there's no recommendations, we'll hold it till next time.
Yes.
All right, hold that one till next meeting, Madam Clerk. Next appointment is also to the Library Board for Courtney McFarland. Term expires on June 30th, 2019. Next term is June 30th of 2022. Any recommendations?
I make a recommendation, Mr. Chair, that we appoint Mr. Randy Mirth.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay also. I
Three.
just don't, did Mr. McFarland say he didn't want to continue
Right.
serving?
He's not able to perform the duties anymore.
He's not.
No.
He's not, really? He can't?
No, it's a sidebar conversation.
Okay, well.
Well, I will
I'll
rescind,
change
change
my
mine
vote.
too. 'cause
Okay,
I-
it's unanimous then. Next appointment is the Library Board, expiring term of Stuart Lang. Term expires June 30th, 2019. Next term will expire June 30th, 2022. Any recommendations?
Yes, sir. Mr. Lang did tender an email or call to me stating he does not want to continue to serve. And so I'd like to recommend Ms. Charmaine Gottlieb to serve in that role.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Next appointment to the Mental Health, Developmental Disabilities, and Addictive Diseases Board. Khadijah Woods' term expires June 30th, 2019. Next term will expire June 30th, 2022. Any recommendations?
Does she want to continue serving?
I have not been able to get in touch with her. Any recommendations? We'll hold that till next time. Next appointment is to Mental Health Board, Developmental Disabilities, Addictive Diseases for Kathy Loving. Term expires June 30th, 2019. Next term will expire June 30th, 2022.
Mr. Chair, I did speak with Ms. Loving, and she would like to continue on that board, so I make a recommendation that we reappoint Ms. Kathy Loving to the Mental Health Board.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Next appointment to the Mental Health Developmental Disabilities Addictive Disease Board for Junior Jackson. Term expires June 30th, 2019. Next term will expire June 30th, 2022. Any recommendations?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we reappoint Mr. Junior Jackson.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Next appointment is to the expansion to the Development Authority Board. New appointee to the Development Authority is, the term will start on May 22nd, 2019, expire on May 22nd, 2023. Any recommendations?
Yes, Chair. I move we appoint Regina Deloach.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Those in favor, aye.
You didn't
Opposed?
ask for the question?
The question? Oh, is there any questions? Let's back up. We got a motion and a second. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
On these appointments, have we contacted the people? Do we know that they are tax-paying citizens of Clayton County, residents of Clayton County?
Yes, we've done, the due diligence been done.
Okay. Are they tax-paying citizens?
Yes.
Is
If you
this
live in
person-
Clayton County in some form or fashion, you're a taxpayer.
No. Property
a
taxpayer.
resident.
Show me,
Taxpayer.
Are they a
show
property
me
tax-
where it says specifically taxpayer, property
it's a-
taxpayer.
I'm asking a question.
And I just answered.
Mr. Chair, unless, based on the ordinance, it does not specifically state what type of ad valorem tax can be defined as. Mr. Chuck, please tell us define what the ad valorem tax is for the record, as opposed to me saying.
It just says taxpayer of
Or a
Clayton
tax,
County.
list out all the taxes that are paid in Clayton County.
All the taxpayers are paying to or in?
You're in Clayton
Into-
County, if you're a
Paid
resident of
to-
Clayton County,
paid
what
to
kind of
Clayton
taxes do
County.
you pay?
You pay, property, personal, ad valorem, not all of those taxes go to.
Occupational,
Yeah,
sales
Not
tax.
all those taxes go to Clayton County, but they're all paid by people who live in Clayton County.
So let's make it even
Sales
better.
tax.
Which ones come to Clayton County? List them, please.
Well, off the top of my head, I would say occupational for one. It would be your real estate taxes. I would say that would be one. I'm sure there are others, but those are two that would be the first that come to the top of my head.
And ad valorem, correct? Property, personal, ad valorem, occupational.
Right.
Correct?
Real
Okay.
and personal.
Any
Did
other
they-
questions?
Yes. Did they
Yes,
say what kind of tax they pay? Or?
They
Yeah,
pay,
and
yes?
So with that with that state, whatever state law that enacted, from the Development Authority, that's all we're asking. What is that interpretation of the tax? I mean, is it residential tax, residence tax?
The word just simply says taxpayer.
As
That's
simple
all it
as that.
says. It just says taxpayer.
It doesn't
And so-
specify what kind of taxes.
And that, I believe that the last time that this issue came up, that to make the statute make sense, it had to be taxpayer that would be a county, that, the county would receive some tax from that taxpayer. Otherwise, every single person in the world
They have a vested
pays
interest. in the
taxes
Clayton
at some
County.
point. But to make it make sense that you want your citizens to, that are on your development authority board to be people who have a vested interest in the county.
Property
Mhm.
tax.
That's correct. I believe
I'm
that's
gonna
what.
take it a step further. Would you consider a resident to have vested interest in the county? Simple as that, yes or no?
Well,
It's not long.
yes, probably, but
All
that's
right,
not
thank
what the
you.
statute says. It
Well, it
says
don't say property
taxpayer.
tax either, but we're not gonna belabor the point, because the point was made, it's a matter of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So, if the majority of this board says that that's our understanding of it, then that should be it, just like it was last year when that was the understanding of the majority of this board. So I'm gonna call the question
I
myself.
was gonna
on
call
that.
for the question, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second on the calling of the question?
Second.
Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
3-2, it passes.
Yeah,
Now
I
go.
didn't say, I'm not.
Oh, I'm sorry,
not against
Commissioner. I'm sorry, I'm being presumptuous. We're gonna get some light bulbs so we
Yeah.
can make sure we see how
Don't
we
be
vote
We need a
around here.
button. So you
We're gonna
Don't
get
be
something.
presumptuous. I
I
don't have a
promise you
problem.
that. We're getting something. 4-1, it passes. Going back to the original motion, it's been motion and a second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Which one you voting on?
Regina DeLoach, the one you had the question about.
Oh, about the Development Authority?
Yes,
Nay,
ma'am.
Nay.
Is it 4-1 or is it 3-2?
It's 4-1, sir.
Okay, 4-1. Next one's appointment to expansion to Development Authority. Second appointment, expansion of the Development Authority term begins on May 22nd, 2019, and expires May 22nd, 2023.
Mr. Chair, I move that we hold that one, please.
Is there a second on it?
Second.
Those in favor, aye. Unless you
Aye.
got a question. No questions? Okay, those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. That concludes, I think we need a
No, nope.
Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry. Appointment to the Airport South Community Improvement District Board.
Right, I can't think of his last name.
What was the first name?
Yeah, Michael, first name is Michael.
You remember what his name is?
Michael, it's on your email. Well, you know what? I think I have it. I think I texted him. See, I want to go ahead and do that now so he can start a meeting.
Yeah.
He is a business owner. You have a teacher. Well, I would like to recommend the owner
We
of.
gotta have a name.
First name Michael of We Partners off of 314, Highway 314.
Second.
Well, hold on. Is that sufficient? I don't think that's
We have his
sufficient. We
first
gotta have
name
a.
and the
Yeah,
name
it
of
was
his
a good
business.
identification.
Yeah.
And did you send it to anybody? Check your
I sent it to Dietrich. I sent it to the COO.
Check your send for Deidre. Lord have mercy.
Can we hold
Because
this
we,
to
no,
after
we need,
executive?
we need to go
she-
ahead
she
and do
wants
it
to
because
do
they have, having meetings and making some decisions.
No, go hold it to after executive session to give you time to
Oh,
look it up.
okay.
I make a motion that we hold the appointment to after executive session.
Okay. That's
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. We need an executive session for
For personnel and litigation.
personnel litigation. I have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll second. Those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous. Madam Clerk, you ready? All right, motion to reconvene. Is there a second? Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Mr. Reed? Reed?
All right, I have
Take 'em
two
together,
items.
please.
You want me to take them together?
Yes.
Okay. The first is a request to approve a settlement involving property damage that occurred on January 10th, 2019 at the intersection of Richardson Parkway at Mount Zion Road involving an officer who rear-ended a car that is owned by the Hertz Corporation. The claimant is Leroyo Shedrick, Shedrick, and pays the Hertz Corporation an amount of $10,467.84. The second is Resolution 2019-62, which is a resolution authorizing the execution, delivery, and performance of an agreement for professional services with Kimley Horn in connection with the Battle Creek Road and Mount Zion Boulevard widening project from South Lake Parkway to Somerton Drive, STP 9108-00004, and Battle Creek Road widening project from Valley Hill Road to South Lake Parkway, STP 9108-0005, in parentheses, to authorize the chairman to execute all documents necessary to carry out the same and otherwise perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution, to authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget where necessary to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense, to provide an effective date of this resolution for other purposes.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any questions on either item? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
That's all I have, Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Stanford.
Chairman of the Board of Commissioners, I'm bringing forth a request on behalf of Chief Roberts with regard to actually addressing the board to address disparity pay between the two deputy chiefs' position. The request is to would have a budgetary impact of $9,128.01, but will bring the chief or the deputy chief up to pay grade 35, step 34.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. 4-1, it passes. The last item of business is appointment to the Community Improvement District, Aerotropolis, which is in Commissioner Hambrick's district. Is there a recommendation?
Yes, Chairman. I would like to recommend Mr. Michael Godden for that position.
Is there a second? Now second the motion. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, aye. You made the motion. Lord, have mercy. Commissioner Davis second the motion. Those in favor, aye. Opposed?